Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Abigail Flowers, back with another baritone ukulele jazz tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I play It Had to Be You in the key of D. It had to be you. It had to be you. So the first thing I'll show you is my plucking pattern. Now you can use this or you can substitute any picking, plucking, or strumming pattern you're comfortable with. But here's what I play. So for this pattern, I'm using these 4 fingers on each of the 4 strings. So I've got my thumb on the D string and these 3 on the G, B, and E strings. My thumb will always pluck down, and my other fingers will always pluck up. So the first step in this pattern is just a pluck down on the D string with the thumb. And that's followed up pretty quickly with a pluck up on the G, B, and E strings with the other fingers. So together we've got pluck, pluck. And the next thing we'll do is mute. So to mute, I just gently lay my hand down on the strings and it stops them from vibrating. So all together we've got pluck, pluck, mute. When I lay my hand down for the mute, it's basically touching like the heel of my palm and then the tips of my fingers. There's not a magical, special way to do this. You just want to lay your hand down so that it stops the strings from vibrating. So after pluck, pluck, mute, we have one more pluck, but this time all 4 fingers will pluck all 4 strings at the same time. And we'll finish up with one last mute. So all together it sounds like this. So the timing is pluck, pluck, mute, pluck, mute, pluck, pluck, mute, pluck, mute, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, watch that section as many times as you need to. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit for now. So here's what it sounds like at tempo. Just so you know, I do have an ebook of this arrangement on my website. It's got lyrics, chord diagrams, a lead sheet, and even a fingerstyle arrangement of this song. So now let's move on and listen through the first half of the song. It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around, finally found somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue. I'd even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. All right, let's slow it down and go through each of those chords one at a time. First up, we had a D major 7. Followed by a B7. Then we have E7, A7, F sharp 7, B minor. You can also play B minor with just 3 fingers. I prefer the 4-finger option, but you can always do it with your open D string as well. So that's it. That's all the chords for the first half of the song, and you can rewind and play along with me a few times until you're ready to move on. Now let's go ahead and listen to the second half of the song. This is going to start with the same chords as the first half, but then we'll get into some new material toward the end. Some others I've seen, might never be mean. might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. So like I said, that section starts with chords we've already used in this song before, like D major 7, B7, and E7. Let's look at the new chords in this half of the song. We have a D7. Notice that this is different from a D major 7. D major 7, D7. We follow that with G major 7, C7. You may already know that you can also play C7 as a 3-finger chord. So we leave the pinky off of the E string, but I prefer the 4-finger version, especially in this song because we're going to use this chord shape later on in the tag or coda of the song. The next chord we have is a D chord. So once again, we've got D, D major 7, and D7 in this song. Then we go back to a bunch of chords we've played before. We have F sharp 7, B minor, E7, and A7. Then we add an E minor chord, which I'm sure you're already familiar with. Then we have a familiar A7 chord, and we'll follow that up with an A13 chord. So this is very similar to A7, but we're gonna add the ring finger on the 2nd fret of the E string, and that way we get to add the melody note into this chord. Now, you could just end the song there. The simplest way to end things would just be, had to be you, ending on a simple D chord. If you were playing this song with a jazz band, instead of ending right away, you might want to start the form of the song over and give different instruments a chance to solo. So instead of ending there with a simple D chord, you could play 1 measure of D, followed by 1 measure of A, or A7, and that leads you back to the top of the form. So that might sound like this. Had to be you. Back to the beginning. But my favorite way to end this song is with a nice little coda or tag. This is where our 4-finger C7 shape is going to come in handy. So we'll take this C7 shape and move it up 2 frets. So now it's 4th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret. And this is a D7 chord. So we're gonna play 2 beats of D7, then slide down 1 fret for 1 beat of D flat 7, and on beat 4, we'll slide down 1 more and play C7, and then quickly shift down 1 more fret. So now your pointer finger isn't necessary, but the rest of your fingers are already in place for this B7. So it's gonna sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, and. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Da, 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 da. And then we just repeat the last line of the song and end on a D chord. So all together that sounds like this. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. Now let's go ahead and play through the whole song. You can come back to this section and play along with me as many times as you like for practice or just for fun. A 1, 2, a 1. It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around, finally found somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue. I'd even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross or try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. It had to be you, wonderful you. It had to be you. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll check out some of my other baritone ukulele jazz tutorials.